Alrighty, so today I'm going to be describing the new changes and features to the Quantum Hangar. This will include the global hangar market, the extra configs, the grid save sell currency types, and some of the other stuff which I will be showing later. So jumping right in, I'll just kind of walk through the configs and kind of give you a brief description on what all those do. This is the new UI to the Quantum Hangar. It's really clean laid out. It should be pretty easy for you guys to understand what's going on here. So if you're just using this as a hangar, here are the hangar configs. All these should be the same as what it's currently set as, what you guys are used to. The enable blacklist right here is something new, as well as the grid save cost. This enable blacklist feature is for the server block limits. So if you using the collection here for certain type limits, it will basically pull this info and it'll prevent players from bringing in a ship that would be putting them over their limits. And this is true for if people collaborated and they put 5 assemblers on each grid, right? And the server block limits are 5 assemblers per player. It would tell you which players are over their limits and how much they're over their limits if they're trying to bring in a grid that would put them over their limits. This custom collection tab is still a work in progress. I would not mess with this. Just if you want to have the block limits, just leave it on this. The custom collection, of course, will just be for the block limiter plugin, and if you want to blacklist, I guess, certain blocks that are going into your hangar. I'm still not sure how this will work. I got to think through this and I guess get some feedback on what players would want or what owners would want here instead of just I guess, the collection here that they're using. So the next thing is the grid save cost, which is how much a grid should cost being to save the grid in your hangar. So there's a fixed price and there's a based off mass. If you want this, I would just leave it as a fixed price. The based off mass portion, I'm still kind of working on and figuring it out because static grids, I realized, have a mass of 0. So, but this is just a linear interpretation. If you want to have, of course, the bigger mass grid, the more space credits it would cost. And this is strictly this box times the mass of the grid. So when I get this fixed for static grids, when I figure out how to, I guess, get the mass of a static grid, you can have that linear model here and store, and it would cost players more to store grids that are, I guess, bigger and more in mass, so they can't hide from AFK, offline rating, PvPing, all that jazz. So if you don't care for it, if you don't want players to pay a price to store grids in their hangar, just leave that off. I will leave it on so I can show you how this all works, and then I'll turn it off, show you that it will work later. So the next tab is the new hangar market configs. So if you want to have this enabled, you can. If you don't, just uncheck that. It won't send anything to clients. It won't do anything like that. It'll basically prevent players from running those market commands you can do. But I will leave that enabled because I want to show you guys how to do that. So the market value multiplier, and this is strictly for to give a rough estimate on what the server thinks the grid should be sold as. I had players commenting that they didn't know how much their grid should be sold for, and this is again strictly based off the mass of the grid. So the bigger the grid, the more space credits the server thinks it should be cost, and that goes for the cargo in it too, because the cargo is part of the mass. And like I said, the static grids are of course a problem because the mass is 0, but it's the same thing as what I described right here with the based off mass. Is if you type in 1, the server thinks the mass, the price of the grid should be the mass of the grid. Does that make sense? I mean, it kind of translates. So if you want to have, of course, let's say a ship weighed or have the mass of 500 kilograms, right? Then the server thinks if you typed in 1 here that the cost of the grid should be 500 space credits. So it's kind of that, again, that linear model, and you can also go decrease. You can change this all while the server is running. So if you want it to be instead half the mass of the grid, so it'd be if you had 500 kilograms mass of a ship, this would of course be cost now 250 space credits to give the player a rough estimate on what their ship should be worth. This also kind of correlates to the auto sell hangar grids after player log off time, which is still a work in progress. but let's say if a player hasn't logged in with X amount of days here, you can, the plugin will eventually auto sell those hangar ships that are in their hangar for whatever the market value thinks, and you can, I'll probably add another box here for like a percent of the market value, so give it kind of a discount. And note, I will make this kind of I guess oblivious, so you don't know what cargo is in it. It's kind of like Storage Wars, where you don't know what you're getting. You can preview the grid through the market block still, but you don't know what's in it. It could have, I don't know, it could have an Aston Platinum. You never know. And so that will be interesting and hopefully keep the market busy, I guess, and keep adding new stuff that players can do, try to buy. So I will turn that off because it doesn't do anything right now. The require space credits to remove a grid that is on the market. Basically, that's what you do. So if a player puts a market item up on the global market, do you want them to pay a fee to remove it? It's kind of like a restocking fee. But if you want to, I'll just say 1,000. We'll make it 1,000 space credits for now. So the rest of the stuff, this is still the custom collection. You can add rows, remove selected rows, all that, but this is still a work in progress. I'm not sure how I want to go forward with this until I get some feedback. The advanced configs is just for me. It's more of an in-depth log, and the port here, if for some reason another plugin is eating up this port, you can remove this, you can change it to whatever port you want. I will be eventually adding an IP box here, so you can connect it across boxes if you wanted to. The net code does allow you to do that. I just hard-coded it locally on the box for now, because I don't think many people are doing cross, I guess, boxes yet for servers. We just host 3 or 4 on our one box. It's a little bit more efficient to do it that way, and so they will all communicate through this port if you choose to do that. So after going through all the configs, I guess I'll kind of show you guys how that all works now in game. So here we are. A couple new things. This is the new hangar list. Of course, I have scripter level above, so I only have 4 grids. If I go ahead and try to load hangar load 4, you can see restore complete, and I should probably set the time here. Wait time between commands. I'll leave that 0, but I'll show you guys what I mean by the wait time between commands, meaning how long between another player can save or load a grid. That's basically what that is. So if I come over here and I just loaded this grid, I do hangar save, I have 10 minutes before I can use this command, and that's what I showed you here with the wait time between commands. So this is in minutes. If you want to type an hour, 60. That's all you gotta do. I don't want to do that because I'm just going to test things today, so we'll put in 0, so of course it's instant. You can do as many times as you want. So now that this grid is pasted in, I'll kind of show you just the rundown again on how saving it works. You can just strictly look at the grid, right, hangar save. So you can say saving this grid will cost me 1,000 space credits. Run this again within 30 seconds to continue. All right, and it just subtracted space credits out of my account, which I didn't show you guys beforehand, but I promise you it works. So yeah, that works. And if you went over here and let's say you turn off the required amount of currency, I'll just go ahead and load this in for you. Hangar list, make sure it's in the same spot. Hangar load 4, where to put? Right here. And I run it again. Hangar save. There you go. No currency was subtracted. It's the same amount. But I'll go ahead and re-enable it so you guys can, I guess I can see that it does subtract the amount of money. So 45,000. Hangar save. Yep, I'm okay with that. 44,000. So yeah, it works. I'll re-enable, turn that back off again. I will show you guys the block list. So in this server, I've just been testing this. So let me turn off the free build. Right. So right now I have nothing built, which is fine. I'll go ahead and do hangar load 4. Put this grid back in, right? Let me see. Do I have anything built now? Negative. I will put 24 assemblers on this grid, and I'll show you guys how the block limits work now. Oh yeah, this is totally gonna be so stupid. Alright, so maximum block type limit reached. Perfect. So let's say I'm a player, right? I'm like, I'm gonna hanger save this. Alright, cool. Now I'm gonna build, of course, more assemblers, right? Because, you know, my block limits are now back to just the 9 I've placed. And I'm a player, right? I'm like, I can get around the server limits. Let me just reload this grid, right? And I'll have, I don't know, how many freaking assemblers, right? Hanger load 4. You can see that player, which is my name, would be over their assembler limits, 35 out of 24. So you can get a direct feedback, and this works for if you have many different players on the same grid, they would be over their limits. That all works. And so you can strictly see I'd be, of course, that many over. If I went ahead and removed all this now, and I tried to load it again, it'd be restore complete, block limits are fine, back to 24 assemblers, and that grid is over here now. So if you wanted to remove this, and basically just let players, I guess, spawn them in infinitely, I'll turn that off. I would again save this, hanger save, I'll paste in some assemblers, do hanger load 4. There we go. So yeah, I'd be over my assembler limit here, 29 and 24. So yep, that's how the block type limit works now, or block limits, server limits. So yep, pretty simple to do. Hanger save. All right. The other commands that are new are the hanger info. This lets you basically go over and it'll tell you details about the grid that you have in your hanger. So if I do hanger list, right, and I want to get more info on this, maybe it's been a few days. I don't remember what this Ardent M mining vessel is. I can do hanger info 3, and it'll give you just some basic readouts of what this grid is, how many reactors, turrets, static guns, refineries, assemblers, and grid masts, the estimated market value, what the server thinks you should sell it as, number of grids in the hanger. So if you have subgrids option, you can do that. Build percentage, let players know, like how much the grid has been built if it's kind of damaged. This is just a vanilla blueprint, so they have those like little passageways or walkways that are half welded up, so you can kind of see that working there. And the ship PCU. PCU is enabled by default, but if you don't have PCU enabled on the server, then it won't. You shouldn't have any problems with it. So that should all be done through the server configs, not through my plugin configs. All right, so this leads me to the adding stuff to the market. And so the hanger market block, it's right on this server, it's called Black Market Shipyard, but this is my debugging mod. On the real thing, it'll be called Hanger Market, and you'll be able to place this down, right? And you'll be able to come over here and scroll down here, and you should see this grids for sale option. And I already put up some grids for sale, as well as my tester here. He came in and put in some other ships for sales that I could test by, and you'll be able to see these 3 buttons on the bottom. Any player can put these in. They can build it. It will work perfectly fine. This will work cross server, and I will actually show you that in a few minutes. I'll load into server 2 and have the market be configurable and being connected between any number of servers on the same box, on the same computer. So if you had 5 servers, this would all tie in, they would all communicate, and it'll communicate back to the client. But if you go in here, I can see these grids. I already have one of them being previewed, this little mining ship, I guess, or little escort fighter. But if you wanted to go, let's take a look at this Tranquility, right? We can click preview selected grid. There we go, just had to click it twice for some reason. And you can kind of see it sticking out. I will be working on auto positioning this off the cockpit. I know a lot of people are starting to do that now. I guess I will try to do that too, so you don't have to change the scale or anything, pitch and everything. But it works as is. If you take the blueprint right, it'll put it in there correctly. But like I said, I'll be working on the mod to auto position this, to have it centered in on the console. But yeah, this is the Tranquility. You can look at it. I know it's kind of terrible looking at it right now, but let me try to see if I can change the position here. Forward offset. Nope, not that direction. Nope. Nope. Ah, vertical offset. Pitch. So the offset does not work. Interesting. I'll have to fix that, but later on I'll fix that too. I'll have it auto-centered. But yeah, you can take a look at it here. It looks kind of stupid, I know, but I will be working on auto-positioning that, and that will be the next thing I'll be working on. So if you want to go get a different ship to look at, let's look at this Journeyman preview selected grid, right? It's this thing right here. Of course, just sticking out of the block randomly. Let me see, get some roll going. Nope, I just rotated it. Okay, but you guys get the point. You guys have all used this. I will, of course, fix the auto position. You can do the same thing over here if you have multiple terminals. Let's look at this Potwell preview selected grid. There it is. So this one actually came in perfect, and that's just because of the blueprint. Whoever took the blueprint of this put this correctly. So yeah, that one is put up for sale by seller D Lund. He was in our ASD faction, which if I show you guys the faction, A and D, this is, where is he? Right here. So it'll tell you the faction, it'll tell you the price the seller has put it at, it'll also tell you the estimated market value. Now I need to reformat this, but for those of you who know how to read scientific or exponential whatever format, you can. This is what, 1.3 times 10 to the 7th space credits. So that's, like I said, that's strictly based off the mass. So, and the description, not Potwell, not pot, and not a wall. So you can set custom descriptions, and you can always, of course, go to this selected grid details, right? And it'll tell you the grid mass. And this is just only a single large grid. There's no fighters or anything like that, small grids. Max power output, I'm working on, work in progress. Build percentage, so just hasn't taken much damage. Max jump distance is still a work in progress. The ship PCU, in case you have a PCU limit, you're like, oh no, the ship's over my PCU, there's no sense of buying it. It'll tell you reactors, turrets, all this. So there's no refineries and there's no assemblers on this ship. There's a lot of turrets, so you must know that this is like a battleship. So let's say I really want to buy this ship. Let me check my hangar. I want to make, oh wait, I got a hangar list. I want to make sure that I have room in my hangar. I have 4 out of 4 grids. Let's do hangar, because it won't let me buy it if I don't have room in my hangar. It'll just be like, yo, you don't have room. So I'll do hangar load 4, right? I'll get rid of this skillet. I'm gonna get rid of you. Alright, so let's buy this Potwell. So one thing to note here, this is 100,000 space credits. You will notice that this purchase selected grid is not enabled. And that's the reason, because I don't have enough money for this. And this also, the purchase button is not enabled also if the grid you've selected is owned by you. So I cannot purchase this grid because I put this up for sale. I don't know why you'd want to purchase your own grid. That's kind of pointless. Whatever. The money would just go back to you. But I fixed that, going there. The rest of these, let me see, is there one I can actually afford? Yes, this one. I do have 10,000 space credits. You can see I can purchase this one. Okay, but anyways, let's say, as I said earlier, you cannot buy a ship that you just cannot afford. So this one right here, let's go ahead and try to buy it. Let's make sure we select ship details. So it has 3 reactors, 3 turrets, 3 guns, 97.38% build percentage. Let's purchase this grid. So you can see it removed from the market. I got subtracted 10,000 because I bought the credits. And if you go into your hangar now, hangar info or hangar list, right? That mod list raider I just bought, and it showed up my 4th spot in my hangar. So you can see that you bought it. I should probably put a little context or the response that said you bought the hangar, bought the item. I can do that. But that you can go ahead and do, of course, hangar info 4. Same thing. I'm going to do hangar load 4. Restore complete. Where is it? Ah, it's right here. So it's a little atmospheric ship. Interesting. Perfect. So with that, that's pretty easy. If you want to sell a ship, you can do the same thing. So if I want to do like a hangar list, well, already hangar sell. Let's see this ardent mining vessel, right? Hangar sell 3. Let's give it a price. Let's say 500,000, and we'll give it a description. Good mining ship. So the description needs to be in quotes. That's pretty simple. Selected grid is already on the market. Oh, really? Let me go look. Yes, it is. So I've already put it on the market. Oh crap, what was the other market? You can do hangar. What is it? Remove offer. Yes, so you can do remove offer, and you can do remove offer 3. So we've set it up in the configs that it'll cost 1,000 space credits removed from the offer. Yep, continue. You removed the ship from the market. Okay, so now that I'm, I stopped and I started up my second server here so I can show you guys how this all works. But as you see, there's these couple ships in here. This one, I will show you guys how to remove this from the from the market. So this is the VC operation support vessel. If I do hangar list, right? So it's actually there in my hangar. If I do hangar remove offer, I can do hangar remove offer 2. This grid will be, this grid's on market, and so this is the config we said to kind of like the restocking fee. Go ahead and run that command again. I've removed the ship from the market. So now I should be able to run hangar load 2. Of course my PCU, and that's the PCU limit right there because I already have a ship in. Let me just rerun hangar save on that, right? Make sure hangar load 2. Restore complete. So that's this the operation ship, and this is again just a grid that I've got in my blueprints. So yeah, that's how you can remove offers, and you can come over here back to this block. Let me go do that. Oops. And you can kind of see I removed that ship from the market. Now there's only 4 items. Okay. So this last one that is up for sale by me, I will show you again if somebody tries to load this grid, Tranquility. So if I do hangar list, right? So the Tranquility is number 1. If I do hangar load 1, of course, PCU limit reached. So I run hangar save, right? Saves the grid. Hangar list, still number 1. So let's do hangar load number 1. Wait. Oh, so the grid must be freaking huge. Let me do that. Rebuild. So you can see that trying to load the grid that is already on the market still, it'll tell you, of course, it'll cost 1,000 space credits, confirmed, remove grid from the market, and it'll say restore complete. And I got a little bit of lag there because, I mean, you're pasting in a grid basically, and it'll be a little bit of client lag trying to load it all in. But here it is, Tranquility. Of course, I can always go back and do hangar save, put that back in. Let's come over here. I don't want the Raider. The thing sucks. It doesn't have any freaking engines except for Atmo. I can go back over here to the market, and you will see that there's only 3 ships for sale, and that's through my faction mate here. Okay, so now I will show you guys that there's 3 things here, right? I will go hop directly into the other server. I've got 2 hosted right now on my machine. If I do join game, history, so I've got Bob's Winter Wonderland number 2. I was on number 1. If I go back to devs, okay, so here we are, loading back into our new second server. Okay, and here you see I've got some already existing hangar blocks down. And here you can see that this one I just added. I actually had to go off camera and update the plugin because I forgot while I was testing this. But I will again, I guess, show you real fast on how this works. So same thing, hangar list. Those 3 ships that I have in my hangar. If I now if I go back to here, I'll just show you here. Let's add another ship to our hangar, or to the market block. Hangar, sell. Let's sell this Tranquility again. This is a pretty expensive ship, so let's do like let's do like, I don't know, 80 million. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Description. Good industrial ship, question mark. Preparing grid for market. So come over here. There's this Tranquility ship, 8 million. I will format this later, as well as the estimated price. Again, can't buy it, but here's those two ships I just put up for sale on this server. Let me leave. Alright, go back to the main menu. And if you had a cross-server plugin that can manage the currency and stuff, I'll go back to number 1. We were on number 2. All the currency and stuff will transfer. Not cross-server. I don't have a cross-server econ plugin, but some of the cross-server jump plugins should have built-in econ that does transfer. So I go back to my market block. Here are those two items that I put up for sale. So let's try to buy this ship. I just gotta get myself money. Let's try to buy this Potwell, and then I'll jump back to the other server. I'll change my balance of my player. Change. Okay, so now I have enough money to buy it. Let's click buy here. Yes. There we go. Grid has been removed from the market. And so yes, what the cool thing is about this plugin is that money that should have went to the person I just sold it from will actually go to him, whichever server they're on. And so if they log in first on server 3 or whatever, that money will of course go to them. It'll let the market know that it gave the money to them. But if all the econ is transferred, it will update across all servers automatically if you have a plugin to do that. So I will of course go back. Let me make sure I got the ship in my hangar. Whoops, it's hangar list. So there's that Potwell. I'll go back to the other one. Don't join me too. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you will see here that item has been removed from the market automatically, and I will now have that ship in my hangar because it's cross-server. So here we go. Let's check this. So Potwell not on here. I still got those two ships up for sale. Nobody's bought them, of course. So hangar list, and there's that Potwell. If I want to go ahead and load this in on Earth, because why the hell not? Hangar load 4. Restore complete. It's kind of a big grid. Takes a second to load in. Where is it? Oh, it's right there. And here it is, just crashing to its doom. This ship would not have survived gravity anyways, but surprisingly it's not going down faster than I thought. Probably because it's kind of stuck in there. But yeah, that's it. That's how you guys do it. Be sure to give me any problems you guys have. But yeah, that's it. And you can of course have many of these blocks down, as many as you want. Whatever. Go in here. Yep, there it is. Perfect. Okay.